Well, thank you very much, Ted. You know, honestly, he did not know about this until about 15 minutes before I walked to the podium. And he was very taken by it. And I have read this on numerous occasions, so I'm not saying it myself. The wonderful, that's a lot of media, that's good. Well, it's hard for them to cancel when you get great ratings, isn't it? You know, they may edit that out. They don't want to have that. They don't like that. They may have to edit that out, Ted, but that's okay. They don't like those endorsements. But we've been very, very successful, literally hundreds to one, hundreds to two in terms of the endorsements and the power of the endorsement, because people respect that I do want to make America great again. We were doing that. We were doing that at a level that nobody's ever seen, and putting America first ahead of China and ahead of all of these countries, and people know that that's where we were. And before the pandemic came into our shores, we were doing numbers. In history, there's never been anything like it. Unemployment for everybody, for every group, everybody was the best it's ever been. We're up to 160 million people. No, we were never even close to a number like that. And then we had this horrible thing come in from China. And we got that one right too, by the way. Do you notice? You see what's going on over the last, it's called the lab. That was an easy one, Wuhan. But you had this horrible problem come in, and like every other country, we went down, and they were saying how well India was. Look how well India is doing. Well, India's not doing too well now, and we've done an incredible job, and most importantly with the vaccine coming up with it, but we've done an incredible job, and so many things have happened, and we built the economy not once, we built it twice. Think of it, because we built it, we had the highest stock market ever, the best job numbers, and then we had to regroup, we had to do a lot of things. We became the ventilator factory of the world. We were making them for everybody, and we had our cupboards were bare. The federal cupboards were bare, and the state cupboards were bare. And we've done a tremendous job. We never got the kind of credit that we deserve for that. One thing we do get the credit for from everybody, even the other side, although they try and disparage it as much as possible, was the vaccine, coming up with the vaccine. But we did something else that people don't talk about it. I made a bet, and I shouldn't call it a bet because maybe you say speculation as opposed, but it was somewhat of a bet. We bought billions and billions of dollars worth of vaccine and all forms of getting that vaccine into your body, the needles, the bottles, the whole thing. We bought millions and billions, actually, of dollars worth of the vaccine, and we saved a period of a year, maybe more. You wouldn't have the vaccine right now. This room would be empty because they would ask me to be here, and I would say, no, thank you. And you would say the same thing. This would be an empty room right now, and your state would be in a lot of trouble, and the country would be in a lot of trouble, because you wouldn't have the vaccine until probably October. It might have even been later than that. And one of the things I'm most proud about is we did the vaccine, developed the vaccine, and I pushed the FDA. They have never been pushed, would you say, Mark Meadows? They have never been pushed like that. He was there at a lot of those meetings. Those were not nice meetings. They do not like me too much, that I can tell you. And frankly, the drug companies don't like me too much either, because I did a thing called favored nations, where we have to pay whatever the lowest is in the world. That's what we have to pay. Nobody can believe I instituted that. If they leave it alone, you'll soon have the lowest drug prices that we've ever had by. But that doesn't mean that they like me. They spend millions of dollars against me, and that's okay. They have to do what they have to do. But we did things that nobody has ever done. I'm very proud of the biggest bet. This was maybe the greatest bet ever made in the history of the world, because we saved a year. We bought billions of dollars of this vaccine before we even knew it worked. And because of that, we've all, most of you, I guess all of you, just about in one form or another, you've had your shots or jabs, as they like to call it. I actually like the other word better. But we've saved a lot of lives. We've saved all over the world. We've saved millions and millions of lives, and I'm very proud of it. And nobody can ever take it away from us, because that's something that's very, very special. And the people in this room are very, very special. The Biden administration You know, the Biden administration seems to be putting America last. You look at these negotiations where so many bad things have happened. 48,000 jobs were lost by President Biden's day one rejection of the Keystone XL pipeline. Why? For what reason did they do that? And if you like the environment, the pipeline is much better than railroad tracks, and it's much better than trucking. It's great. And they ended it on just about day one. 48,000 jobs, not 8,000. They said 8,000. It's 48,000. Think of it, he rejected our pipeline, but he approved the Russian pipeline, which I had completely stopped going into Germany and all parts of Europe. So I stopped Russia. And I have a very good relationship with President Putin. But there's never been anybody as tough on Russia than I was. And you look at these horrible cyber attacks, you look at all of the things that are happening. We're in a different world than we were in just a few months ago. Yet there's no better example of Biden's failed agenda than the catastrophic, and you look at it, is what's going on the southern border. I mean, is there anything that you've ever seen like what's going on the southern border? And people are coming in from South America, Latin America, but they're coming in from the Middle East. They're coming in from all over. When I left office, we gave the new administration the most secure border in U.S. history. We had the most secure border in the history of our country, and that included drugs, that included human trafficking, which is a magnificently horrible and big business, mostly trafficking in women, and the numbers were down to levels that they hadn't seen in many, many years. And all they had to do is just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. If you leave it alone, it would have gotten better and better. And the fact that we built almost 500 miles of wall, in just a few months it would have been completed. It took 2.5 years of litigation to get to build the wall, and what an impact it had. But it would have been completed, totally completed in just a couple of months, and they stopped it. Now I understand they're starting it again. That one was just too easy. But wait till they find out wait till they see what those contractors are going to do to them. Well, you know, this is going to cost us 5 times more money now because we weren't prepared. You know, it's the old story. They're the greatest negotiators in the world. They may not have gone to the greatest business schools, but they're the greatest negotiators. But we negotiated historic agreements with Mexico, Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador to stop illegal immigration. We ended asylum and asylum fraud. The fraud of what was going on at our border was unbelievable. We instituted rapid removals on the border, and that's really rapid. I call it one-day turnaround of criminals coming into our country, sending people home in record time. We have times that nobody ever heard of before. We ended catch and release. That's where you catch somebody. Could be a horrible criminal. You catch somebody, a rapist, a murderer, could be a drug dealer, and we release them. It's called catch. We catch them and we release them into our country. Well, we didn't do that. We empowered ICE to do their jobs. ICE is incredible. The Border Patrol is incredible. By the way, your police force in North Carolina, I've gotten to know them very well. They are incredible. Thank you very much. A lot of them are here tonight. We cracked down on sanctuary cities, deported gang members by the thousands, and dealt a crippling blow to MS-13, that's the most vicious gang of all, and we took them out of here by the thousands and thousands brought back to where they came. And those countries didn't want them back. And a little story, I said, well, what do you mean they don't want them back? They weren't taking them back. They didn't want them back. They sent them out. They didn't want them back. And I said, that's bad. And they told me that, sir, we can't take them. They won't let us land planes. They're putting other planes on the runway so we can't land planes. They won't take the buses. I say, how much do we pay those countries? Sir, we pay them $500 million a year. Oh, you do? Tell them we're not paying them anymore. And the next day I got a call from all 3 countries. We'd love to have MS-13 back. We think they're wonderful people. We never had a problem. And now they blew that one too. They blew that one too. I'll never forget it. We'd love to have them back. It would be a great honor to take them back. Those runways opened up like you've never seen anything open up. After we instituted these policies, the number of illegal aliens coming across our border declined by an astounding 91%. But under Joe Biden, illegal crossings are up nearly 1,000% compared to the same period last year. They're emptying their prisons, they're sending murderers, drug dealers, human traffickers, and others just as bad to the United States. Let the United States take care of them. Remember, it's called America Last. In April alone, over 175,000 illegal aliens were apprehended and mostly released. You know where they were released, right? They were released into our country. And we saw the largest number ever of unaccompanied minors. We've never seen anything like it. If you just watch some of the semi-fair tell, you don't have to watch fair, semi-fair, they talk about it, because I think they have no choice, and I think they're going to see it more and more. You don't see it too much on the evening news yet, but you're going to see it, because they're destroying our country. But it is much worse than that, because there are at least 1,000 aliens who are simply getting away every single day as the radical Democrats have intentionally, ruthlessly, and systematically dismantled the sovereign borders of the United States of America. We have people just walking into our country. Nobody knows who they are, where they're from. There's no vetting. There's no anything. And some of these people are very, very bad people. Much as I said on that beautiful morning when I came down with our future First Lady at the time, right, Melania, who sends her regards. But we came down that beautiful gold escalator in Trump Tower, and I made that statement and people hated it. It turned out that my statement was very minor compared to the actual facts. It was very, very minor. It's another thing we were right about. Without a border, you cannot have a nation, certainly not a great nation. We fight for other countries' borders, but we don't fight for our own border. Think of it. We fight for other countries' borders, but not for our own. That changed under my administration, but now they're going back more rapidly than anyone ever thought possible. Nobody ever thought that they could do this kind of destruction to our country so quickly. Some of those executive orders that are signed are absolutely insane. Biden has halted wall construction, suspended removals and even removals of just horrible, horrible people, stopped enforcement, shredded our groundbreaking Remain in Mexico. So we had that groundbreaking plan that took us a long time to get, because Mexico, like the other countries, were taking advantage of the United States. Everybody was taking advantage of us. And we have an agreement. Stay in Mexico as opposed to stay in the United States. And a lot of people weren't coming when they realized they had to stay in Mexico. So the enforcement was so much better, and it was getting to a level that nobody's ever seen. And then we finally hit that level. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. They turned America into a sanctuary for criminal aliens, and effectively they were abolishing ICE through agency directives. What they've done to ICE and what they've done to our Border Patrol heroes is incredible. It's incredible. And these are some of the finest people you'll ever meet. I got to know so many of them, and they're among the finest people you'll ever meet. It's true. They love our country.